The next morning, Aaron showed up at 6:30 a.m. Rita was in the kitchen making breakfast, scrambled eggs and bread, the usual, when she heard the knock. She opened the door to find Aaron standing there in a suit, briefcase in one hand, a bag of groceries in the other, looking slightly sheepish. "I know it's early," he said, "but I wanted to make breakfast for the kids before school, if that's okay." Rita stared at him. "You want to make breakfast?" "Yeah, I thought maybe I could start helping with morning routines. Do the dad things, be present." Something warm bloomed in Rita's chest. "Come in." Aaron set down his briefcase and the groceries and got to work. He made pancakes, actual pancakes, not the kind from a box, with chocolate chips that he arranged into smiley faces on each one. When the triplets stumbled out of their bedroom, sleepy-eyed and yawning, they stopped dead at the sight of their father in the kitchen, flipping pancakes like he'd been doing it for years. "Dad?" Marcus rubbed his eyes. "What are you doing here?" "Making breakfast. Who wants smiley face pancakes?" "Me!" All three children shouted at once, suddenly wide awake. They swarmed the kitchen table, and Aaron served them pancakes with the kind of pride usually reserved for people who just won Olympic medals. Rita watched from the doorway, coffee cup in hand, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. This man who destroyed her life 7 years ago. This man who was now making chocolate chip pancakes for their children at 6:30 in the morning. How was she supposed to reconcile those two versions of him? That evening, Aaron came back. He helped Marcus with his math homework, sitting at the kitchen table and patiently explaining fractions for the 100th time. "Okay, so if you have one pizza cut into 8 slices and you eat 3 slices, what fraction of the pizza did you eat?" 3 out of 8, Marcus said proudly. "Exactly. You're getting it." Then he sat with Emma while she worked on a drawing for her art class, offering suggestions about shading and perspective. "See how the light is coming from this direction? That means this side of the building should be darker, like this." "Oh, I see it now. Thanks, Dad." Then he listened to Michael read from his latest book, asking thoughtful questions about the plot and characters. "So do you think the protagonist made the right choice? Or should he have trusted his friend?" "I think he should have trusted his friend, but I understand why he didn't. Trust is complicated." "That's a very mature way to look at it, Michael." By 8 p.m., when it was time for bed, Aaron helped Rita get the children ready. He supervised teeth brushing, making sure Marcus actually used toothpaste this time and didn't just wet his toothbrush and call it done. He helped Emma pick out clothes for the next day, listening seriously as she explained why the blue shirt went better with the black pants than the red shirt did. He reminded Michael to put his library book in his backpack so he wouldn't forget it again. And then came bedtime stories. All 3 children piled onto Emma's bed, the biggest one, and looked at Aaron expectantly. "Story time," Marcus announced. "What kind of story do you want?" Aaron asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. "A scary one. A funny one. A science fiction one." Aaron laughed. "How about a story that's a little bit of everything?" "Yes." So Aaron told him a story about 3 brave siblings who went on an adventure to find a lost city, encountering funny aliens and scary monsters, and solving science puzzles along the way. He did different voices for each character. He made sound effects. He had them on the edges of their seats. By the time he finished, it was almost 9 p.m. "Another one, Marcus begged. "Tomorrow," Aaron promised. "It's way past your bedtime." "But we're not tired," Marcus insisted, even though his eyes were drooping. "Tomorrow," Aaron repeated, kissing each of their foreheads. "Good night, troublemakers." "Good night, Dad," they chorused. Aaron turned off the light and closed the door softly. When he came back to the living room, Rita was sitting on the couch, looking at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "What?" he asked. "Nothing, it's just, you're really good at this, the dad thing." "I'm trying." It shows. Aaron sat down on the other end of the couch, suddenly aware of how late it was. 9:15 p.m. He should probably head home. But the thought of leaving, of going back to his empty penthouse, made something in his chest feel heavy. I should go, he said, not moving. It's late, Rita agreed. Neither of them moved. Or, Rita started, then stopped. Or, Aaron prompted, or you could stay in the guest room. It's late, and you'll just have to drive back here early tomorrow morning anyway. Aaron's heart jumped. Are you sure? I don't want to impose. You're not imposing. You're their father, and you're here all the time anyway. It makes sense. It did make sense. Logically, practically. But Aaron knew it was more than that. Okay, he said, thank you. That's how it started. Aaron staying over when it got too late, which happened more and more frequently. Because the children kept making demands, not mean demands, not unreasonable demands, just requests for the time they'd missed. Dad, can you help me with my science project? Dad, can you teach me that football trick? Dad, can you read us another chapter tonight? Dad, can you make pancakes again tomorrow? And Aaron said yes to everything. Every single request, no matter how small, no matter how time-consuming. He wanted to make up for 7 years of absence. He wanted to prove he wasn't going anywhere. So he stayed later and later, until one day he just brought a bag with some clothes and toiletries and moved into the guest room semi-permanently. Just until I catch up on all the dad stuff I missed, he told Rita. That could take a while, she pointed out. I know. They both knew what was really happening. Aaron was becoming part of their daily life, part of their routine, part of their family. It was strange at first. Aaron in Rita's space, Aaron's shoes by the door, Aaron's coffee mug in the sink, Aaron's voice in the morning asking if anyone had seen his briefcase. Rita had lived alone with her children for 7 years. Having another adult in the apartment, especially this particular adult, was an adjustment. But slowly, carefully, they found their rhythm. Aaron made breakfast. Rita packed lunches. Aaron helped with homework. Rita did laundry. Aaron read bedtime stories. Rita made sure everyone actually got in bed afterwards. They moved around each other like dancers learning new choreography, a little clumsy at first, occasionally stepping on each other's toes, but gradually finding the beat. 3 weeks into the arrangement, Rita walked into the bathroom without knocking. It was 7 a.m. She was half asleep, still in her pajamas, desperately needing to brush her teeth before she could face the day. She pushed open the door and froze. Aaron was in the shower. The glass door was partially fogged, but not fogged enough. She could see everything. His broad shoulders, his muscular back, his, oh my God! Rita slapped her hand over her eyes and spun around so fast she nearly gave herself whiplash. I'm so sorry, I didn't know you were in here. There was a moment of shocked silence. Then Aaron's voice, strained and slightly strangled. It's okay. I should have locked the door. I'm leaving right now. Rita fumbled for the door handle, eyes still covered, her face burning so hot she was surprised she hadn't burst into flames. She finally got the door open and practically threw herself into the hallway, slamming it shut behind her. Then she stood there in the hallway, her heart pounding like a drum, her face on fire, her brain completely short-circuited. She'd just seen Aaron naked. Naked. She'd seen everything, and now she couldn't unsee it. Rita put her hands over her face and made a sound somewhere between a groan and a whimper. Inside the bathroom, Aaron stood under the spray of water, his own face bright red, his heart racing. Rita had just seen him naked. Naked. And from the look on her face before she'd covered her eyes, she'd seen everything. He turned the water to cold, very cold. Breakfast was the most awkward meal in the history of awkward meals. Rita couldn't look at Aaron. Aaron couldn't look at Rita. They both stared very intently at their plates. their faces various shades of red, while the children chattered obliviously about their plans for the day. "Dad, can you help me practice for the spelling test?" Emma asked. Aaron managed, still not looking up. Mom, can I have more juice?" Marcus asked. "Yes, baby," Rita said, pouring juice while carefully keeping her eyes on the glass and only the glass. Michael, observant as always, looked between the two adults with narrowed eyes. "Did something happen?" he asked. "No," both Rita and Aaron said at the same time, way too loudly. The children blinked. "Okay," Emma said slowly. "You're both acting weird." "We're not acting weird," Rita said, her voice slightly too high. "We're perfectly normal," Aaron added, his voice slightly too low. Michael's eyes narrowed further. Suspicious. But the children eventually got distracted, arguing about who got to use the bathroom first, and the moment passed. Rita and Aaron sat in excruciating silence. For the next week, things were tense, not bad tense, just aware tense. Rita couldn't stop thinking about what she'd seen. Aaron couldn't stop thinking about the fact that she'd seen it. They were hyper-aware of each other now. When Aaron reached past Rita to grab a plate, she jumped like he'd electrocuted her. When Rita brushed against Aaron in the narrow hallway, he froze like a statue. When their hands accidentally touched while both reaching for the milk, they both yanked back like they'd been burned. The children noticed. "Why are you and Dad being weird?" Marcus asked Rita one evening. "We're not being weird." "You are. You won't look at each other, and you both turn red when you're in the same room." "Did you have a fight?" "No, baby. Everything's fine." "Then why—" "Marcus, don't you have homework to do?" Marcus grumbled but went to do his homework, leaving Rita alone with her thoughts. Her very inconvenient, very inappropriate thoughts. Thoughts about Aaron, about his shoulders, about his everything, about the way he looked at her sometimes when he thought she wasn't watching, about the way her heart sped up when he smiled, about the fact that they were living together, raising children together, building a life together. About the fact that somewhere along the way he'd stopped being the man who ruined my life and started being Aaron. Just Aaron. Aaron who made pancakes for her children. Aaron who patiently helped with homework. Aaron who told bedtime stories with funny voices. Aaron who'd fought for justice for her in court. Aaron who showed up every single day, no matter what. Aaron who looked at her sometimes like she was something precious. Rita put her head in her hands. This was complicated. This was messy. This was dangerous, but it was also happening, whether she wanted it to or not. 2 weeks after the bathroom incident, as Rita had started calling it in her head, Friday evening arrived. The triplets had come home from school full of energy and demands. "Can we have a movie night?" Marcus had asked at dinner, bouncing in his seat like he had springs instead of bones. "A family movie night, with popcorn and everything." "Please, Mama," Emma added, her eyes wide and pleading. "We never do family movie nights." "That's because you three usually argue about what to watch and someone ends up crying," Rita pointed out. "We won't argue this time," Michael said. "We've already agreed on a movie. We discussed it at school." "You discussed movie choices at school?" "During lunch. We took a vote. Very democratic." Rita looked at Aaron, who was trying not to laugh. "Family movie night sounds fun," he said. "I'm in if you are." And that's how Rita found herself on the couch at 8 p.m. on a Friday night with 3 excited children and one very handsome co-parent, watching an animated movie about talking animals going on an adventure. Marcus sat on the floor with the biggest bowl of popcorn, shoving handfuls into his mouth like he hadn't eaten in days. Emma curled up on one end of the couch, wrapped in a blanket. Michael sat next to her, his legs tucked under him. Rita was in the middle of the couch, and Aaron was on the other end, a respectable distance away. The movie was actually pretty good, funny and heartwarming with just enough action to keep the kids interested. They laughed at the jokes, gasped at the scary parts. Oh, at the sweet moments. It was nice. Really nice, like a real family. Around 10 p.m., Marcus started yawning. Then Emma, then Michael. I'm sleepy, Marcus mumbled, rubbing his eyes. Me too, Emma agreed, her voice drowsy. The movie's almost over, Michael said, but his eyes were drooping. Aaron looked at Rita. Should we call it? Rita nodded. Okay, troublemakers. Movie's over. Time for bed. But we didn't see the ending, Marcus protested weakly. We'll finish it tomorrow. Come on, bed. The children grumbled but were too tired to put up a real fight. Aaron helped them to their room, tucking each one in while Rita cleaned up the popcorn explosion in the living room. Good night, Dad, she heard Emma murmur sleepily. Good night, Princess. Love you. Love you too. Rita's heart squeezed. When Aaron came back to the living room, Rita was standing by the couch, remote in hand. They went down easy, Aaron said. All three were asleep before I even finished tucking them in. Good, they need the rest. They stood there for a moment in slightly awkward silence. I should probably head to bed too, Aaron said, gesturing toward the guest room. Yeah, okay. But neither of them moved. Or, Rita started, then stopped. Or, Aaron prompted, his eyes suddenly intent on her. Or we could finish the movie, if you want. I mean, we're both still awake. Might as well see how it ends. It was a flimsy excuse and they both knew it. Sure, Aaron said, his voice carefully casual. Why not? They sat back down on the couch. Rita picked up the remote. Do you want to keep watching this one or switch to something else? Whatever you want. Rita scrolled through the options and selected a romantic comedy she'd been meaning to watch. The movie started playing. They sat there, not quite looking at each other, both hyper-aware of the space between them on the couch. The movie played. Rita wasn't really watching it. Neither was Aaron. They were both too busy being intensely aware of each other, of the fact that they were alone, of the fact that the apartment was quiet, of the fact that there was only about 2 feet of space between them. On screen, the lead couple was having their first real conversation. Witty banter, chemistry crackling between them. Rita shifted slightly. Aaron shifted too. The space between them got a little smaller. On screen, the couple was walking through a park, getting closer, the romantic tension building. Rita could feel her heart beating faster, could feel the pull toward Aaron like gravity. She snuck a glance at him. He was watching the TV, but his jaw was tight, his hands clenched on his thighs like he was physically restraining himself from something. On screen, the couple stopped walking, turned toward each other. The music swelled, and then they kissed. Soft, slow, romantic. Rita felt something shift in the air between her and Aaron. Something electric, something inevitable. She turned her head to look at him. He turned his head to look at her. Their eyes met, and suddenly the space between them felt like an ocean that needed to be crossed. Without speaking, without even consciously deciding to move, they both shifted closer, inch by inch, until there was no space left, until they were right next to each other, their faces inches apart. Rita could see the gold flecks in Aaron's brown eyes, could feel the heat radiating from his body, could hear his breathing, slightly uneven. Rita, he whispered, his voice rough. She didn't answer, couldn't answer. Her brain had stopped functioning. All she could think about was how close he was, how she could just lean forward a little bit, and something came over them, something neither of them could explain later when they tried. Maybe it was the tension from the past 2 weeks. Maybe it was something that had been building since that night 7 years ago. Maybe it was the bathroom incident. Maybe it was just inevitable, but whatever it was, it broke. They moved at the closing the tiny distance between them. Their lips met, and the world exploded. The kiss started soft, testing, questioning. But that lasted about 2 seconds. Then it was like someone had lit a fuse. Rita's hands tangled in Aaron's hair. Aaron's hands gripped her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, became desperate, became wild. They kissed like they were drowning and each other was air, like they'd been starving, and this was the first meal they had had in years, like they were possessed by something primal and unstoppable. Rita climbed into Aaron's lap, her legs straddling him, never breaking the kiss. Aaron's hands were everywhere, her back, her sides, her thighs, like he couldn't get enough, couldn't touch enough of her. They attacked each other like wild animals, like angry wolves fighting for dominance, like the 7 years of tension and pain and confusion had all condensed into this moment and needed to be released or they'd both combust. "Bedroom," Rita gasped between kisses. "Now." Aaron didn't need to be told twice. He stood up, lifting Rita with him, her legs wrapped around his waist. They stumbled toward her bedroom, still kissing, bumping into walls, knocking over a picture frame, not caring about anything except getting to that bed. Aaron kicked the bedroom door open, then kicked it shut behind them. They fell onto the bed in a tangle of limbs and desperate kisses and frantically grabbing hands. Clothes came off in a frenzy. Buttons were pulled. Zippers were yanked. Fabric was discarded carelessly on the floor. And then there was nothing between them, just skin on skin, heat and need and 7 years of everything finally breaking free. "Are you sure?" Aaron asked, his voice strained, his eyes searching hers. "I'm sure," Rita whispered. "I've never been more sure of anything." And then they came together, not like 7 years ago when they had both been unconscious and unaware, but fully present, fully conscious, fully choosing each other. It was wild, passionate, desperate, perfect. They moved together like they'd been made for this, like their bodies remembered something their minds had forgotten. Rita had never felt anything like it. The intensity, the connection, the absolute rightness of it. Aaron kissed her like she was precious and attacked her like she was irresistible, somehow managing to be both gentle and wild at the same time. They lost track of time, lost track of everything except each other. When it was over, when they finally collapsed together, sweaty and breathless and completely spent, Rita felt something click into place in her chest. Like a puzzle piece she hadn't even known was missing had finally been found. Aaron pulled her against him, her back to his chest, his arms wrapped around her. "That was," he started but couldn't finish. "Yeah," Rita agreed. "It really was." They lay there in comfortable silence for a while, just breathing, just being. Then Aaron pressed a kiss to her shoulder. "I love you," he said quietly. Rita smiled, her eyes already closing. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, Rita's head on Aaron's chest. Aaron's arms wrapped securely around her, both of them sleeping more peacefully than they had in 7 years. Neither of them set an alarm. Neither of them heard the sun rise. Neither of them heard the sounds of the triplets waking up in the next room. What they did hear was Emma's voice, loud and confused, coming from somewhere outside the door. "Mama, we're going to be late for school. Why are you still sleeping?" Rita's eyes flew open. The room was bright with morning light. She was naked. Aaron was naked. They were in bed together. And Emma was calling from the hallway. "Oh no." "Mama," Emma's voice came again, getting closer. "Where's Daddy? He's not in his room." Rita shot up in bed, her heart pounding, pure panic flooding her system. Aaron's eyes flew open too. "What?" "The kids," Rita hissed. "They're awake. Emma's looking for you." Aaron's face went pale. "But I know, Mama?" Emma's voice was right outside the door now. "Are you okay in there? Why aren't you answering?" Rita looked at Aaron in absolute panic. Aaron looked around frantically, like he was trying to find an escape route that didn't exist. "Mama, Daddy's car is still outside, but he's not in his room," Emma called. "Where is he?" Hide, Rita whispered urgently. Where? I don't know, the wardrobe. Go. You want me to hide in the wardrobe? Do you have a better idea? There was a knock on the door. Mama, I'm coming in. Don't, Rita shouted. Don't come in. Just give me a minute, baby. But we're going to be late for school, and I can't find Daddy. Aaron scrambled out of bed, naked and panicking, grabbing his clothes from where they were scattered across the floor. He dove into Rita's wardrobe just as the door handle started to turn. Rita yanked the covers up to her chin. Wait, she shouted. I'm not decent. Give me a second. Mama, why aren't you dressed? It's almost 7:30. I was sleeping very deeply. Didn't hear my alarm. The door handle stopped turning. Can I come in now? Just one more second. Rita looked around frantically. Her clothes were everywhere. The room looked like a tornado had hit it. She quickly grabbed a t-shirt from the floor, thankfully it was hers, and pulled it on under the covers. Okay, you can come in now. The door opened. All three children stood there, already dressed for school, looking at their mother with varying degrees of suspicion. Rita was in bed, covers pulled up to her waist, hair an absolute disaster, face flushed, breathing way too hard. Mama, Emma said slowly, her eyes narrowing. Why are you breathing so hard? I'm fine. I was just doing some morning exercises in bed. Very important for core strength. All three children stared at her. In bed? Michael asked flatly. Yes, bed exercises. They're very trendy right now. Mama never exercises, Marcus said. Well, I'm starting. New healthy habits, very important. From inside the wardrobe, Aaron was trying to silently put his clothes on in the dark while standing on Rita's shoes and praying the children wouldn't notice anything. This was the most humiliating moment of his entire life. Mama, where's Daddy? Emma asked again, looking around the room. His car is outside. He's not in his room. Where did he go? He went for a jog, Rita said desperately. A jog? Yes, a morning jog. Very healthy, good for the heart. Daddy doesn't jog, Marcus pointed out. Well, he's starting too. Everyone's starting new healthy habits today. It's 7:30 a.m., Michael said. If he went for a jog, he would have left at least an hour ago. That would mean he was awake before 6:30 a.m., which is unusual for him. That child was too observant for his own good. Maybe he couldn't sleep, Rita said weakly. Mama, you're acting really weird, Emma said, stepping further into the room. I'm not acting weird. You are. You're all sweaty and red. You're breathing funny, and you keep looking at your wardrobe. Rita froze. She hadn't even realized she was looking at the wardrobe. I'm not looking at my wardrobe. You just looked at it again, Emma accused. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Michael started walking toward the wardrobe. Michael, Rita nearly shrieked. Don't open that. Michael paused, his hand reaching for the handle. Why not? Because I have a huge mess in there. I was organizing last night and everything fell down and it's very embarrassing and I don't want you to see it. Since when do you care if we see your mess? Emma asked suspiciously. Since now, new privacy boundaries. Everyone deserves privacy. The three children looked at each other. Then Emma's eyes went wide. Oh my God. Rita's heart stopped. What? You and Daddy? No, Rita shouted. We're kissing last night. Wait, what? Kissing? Marcus's face scrunched up in disgust. Ooh. That's why you're acting so weird. You and Daddy kissed. Emma looked triumphant, like she'd just solved a complicated mystery. I knew something was going on, the way you've been looking at each other lately. Rita's face was approximately the color of a fire engine. Inside the wardrobe, Aaron was sending up silent prayers of gratitude that the children had jumped to kissing instead of what had actually happened. We, Rita couldn't form words. I knew it, Emma shouted. Marcus! Michael, I was right, they kissed. That's so gross, Marcus muttered, but he was grinning. Michael just looked thoughtful. Interesting development. So where is Daddy then? Emma asked, looking around. Is he hiding because he's embarrassed about the kissing? Rita seized the opportunity like a lifeline. Yes, he's very embarrassed, so he went for a jog to clear his head. He'll be back soon. Why would he be embarrassed? Emma asked. You're both adults. Adults kiss. That's normal. It's weird when it's your parents doing it, Marcus said. Technically, they're not married yet, Michael started. Yet? Rita squeaked. So the social dynamics are still being established. Emma's eyes went even wider. Are you gonna get married? We're not. We didn't even. Mama and Daddy's sitting in a tree. Marcus started singing at the top of his lungs. Marcus, stop that right now. First comes love. I said stop. Then comes marriage. Emma and Michael joined in, all three of them dancing around and singing. Then comes baby in a baby carriage. Children, stop. That is enough. But they wouldn't stop. They were too delighted by this development, too excited about the idea of their parents being together. They danced around the room singing the ridiculous song while Rita put her head in her hands and wanted to disappear into the floor. Inside the wardrobe, Aaron was dying, literally dying of embarrassment. He was a billionaire CEO hiding in a wardrobe while his 7-year-old children sang about him kissing their mother. This was karma. This was absolutely karma for every bad thing he had ever done in his entire life. Finally, Rita managed to shoo the children out of her room with promises that yes, she would make breakfast, and yes, they could talk about the kissing later, and no, they absolutely could not tell their friends at school about this. She closed the door firmly and locked it this time. Then she leaned against it and took a deep breath. Then she opened the wardrobe. Aaron tumbled out, now fully dressed but looking completely traumatized. His hair was sticking up in every direction. His shirt was buttoned wrong. His face was bright red. I'm never going to recover from this, he said. Rita looked at him, at his ridiculous hair and his misbuttoned shirt and his mortified expression. And she started laughing. She couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all, Aaron hiding in her wardrobe, the children singing about marriage and babies, the complete chaos of their lives, it was just too much. She laughed until tears streamed down her face, until her sides hurt, until she couldn't breathe. Aaron stared at her for a moment, then he started laughing too. Great, gulping laughs that shook his whole body. They slid down to sit on the floor, backs against the bed, laughing until they couldn't laugh anymore. They think we just kissed, Rita finally gasped. Thank God for small mercies. They're going to be absolutely insufferable about this. Completely insufferable. They're going to plan our wedding. Probably in excruciating detail. They're going to tell everyone we've ever met. Rita looked at him, wiping tears from her eyes. Do you regret last night? Aaron's face softened immediately. Not even a little bit. You? Not even a little bit. Aaron reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Then he kissed her. Soft, sweet, real. When they pulled apart, he looked into her eyes. I love you, he said quietly. Rita's breath caught. She stared at him, her heart pounding. The words were right there on the tip of her tongue, but she couldn't say them, not yet. Not when she was still scared, still uncertain, still learning to trust him with more than just her children. The silence stretched between them. Aaron watched her face, saw the conflict there, the fear, and he understood. Be patient, he told himself. She's been through too much. She needs time. You have to earn this, earn her love, earn her trust. Be patient. We should probably go check on them in the kitchen, Rita finally said, her voice quiet. Aaron nodded, pushing down the disappointment, the hurt. Yeah, before they burned the place down. They stood up, fixed their clothes, and walked out together to face their children. The children who had a million questions and kept singing that ridiculous song. But underneath the chaos and the laughter, something had shifted. Aaron had laid his heart bare. And Rita was still trying to figure out if she was brave enough to do the same. After that Friday night, something broke loose between Rita and Aaron. Or maybe it wasn't broken. Maybe it was finally, properly unleashed. Because they couldn't keep their hands off each other. It was like 7 years of tension, anger, pain, and longing had all condensed into pure, desperate need. They were insatiable. Any moment the children weren't looking became an opportunity. Rita would be washing dishes and Aaron would come up behind her, his hands on her waist, his lips on her neck. The kids are right there, she'd hiss, but she'd be leaning back into him. They're watching TV, they're not paying attention. Aaron. And then he'd kiss that spot behind her ear that made her knees weak, and rational thought would fly out the window. Or Rita would walk past Aaron while he was working on his laptop, and her hand would trail across his shoulders. Aaron would grab her wrist, pull her down onto his lap, until they both forgot what they were supposed to be doing. We can't, Rita would gasp between kisses. The kids are doing homework in their room. They could come out any second. Then we better be quick. It was madness. Beautiful, thrilling, slightly terrifying madness. Aaron started coming home during his lunch breaks. I forgot some documents, he'd tell his assistant. But there were no documents. He'd walk into the apartment, find Rita, and they'd have 30 stolen minutes before he had to go back to work. Sometimes they didn't even make it to the bedroom, the couch, the kitchen counter, against the wall in the hallway, anywhere, everywhere, like teenagers who just discovered attraction and couldn't get enough. Rita found herself making excuses to meet Aaron during her errands. I need to drop something off at Aaron's office, she'd tell Mama Ngozi, who was watching the kids. And she'd show up at his office, lock the door, and they'd have 20 frantic minutes before his next meeting. His assistant definitely knew what was going on. The woman would give Rita knowing looks and make sure Aaron's next meeting was delayed by 15 minutes. It was wild. It was reckless. It was absolutely intoxicating. The children noticed, of course. They noticed everything. Mama, why do you keep smiling at your phone? Emma asked one evening. I'm not smiling at my phone. You are. You're reading a text and smiling like you just won a prize or something. Rita quickly locked her phone. It's nothing, just a funny message. From Dad? Maybe. Ew. Marcus made a face. Are you guys being romantic? We're not. You are. Look at your face. You're all red. I am not. You're looking at Mama like she's a piece of cake, Michael observed to Aaron one morning at breakfast. Aaron choked on his coffee. What? A piece of cake. Or maybe ice cream. Something you really, really like. You keep staring at her with this expression. Michael demonstrated, making an exaggerated, dopey face. I do not look like that. You do, all three children said in unison. Rita was trying very hard not to laugh. And Mama looks at you the same way, Emma added, like you're, I don't know, something delicious. Okay, Rita said loudly. That's enough of that conversation. Eat your breakfast. But the children kept noticing and kept teasing. Mama and Daddy sitting in became Marcus's theme song. He'd sing it at the most random times, during dinner, while doing homework, while brushing his teeth. Marcus, stop that. I said stop. First comes love. Marcus Lawson, so help me. Then comes marriage. Emma would join in. Then comes baby in a baby carriage. And the two of them would dissolve into giggles while Rita contemplated the benefits of boarding school. Your children are menaces, Aaron said one evening, trying not to laugh. Our children. They're yours too now. You don't get to return them when they're annoying. Damn. Language. The kids aren't even in the room still. But despite the teasing and the children's constant commentary on their kissing and their romantic looks, life was perfect. Rita had never been happier. She'd wake up with Aaron's arms around her. He'd stopped pretending to sleep in the guest room weeks ago. She'd make breakfast with him, their bodies moving around each other like they'd been doing this dance for years. She'd watch him help the children get ready for school, patient and kind and exactly the father they needed. She'd spend her days thinking about him, texting him, smiling at her phone like a lovesick teenager, and she'd fall asleep wrapped in his arms, feeling safe and loved and cherished. It was everything she'd never let herself hope for. 2 months after that Friday night, Rita woke up feeling wrong. Her stomach was queasy, her head felt fuzzy. The smell of Aaron's cologne, which she usually loved, made her want to throw up. You okay? Aaron asked, noticing she was just staring at her breakfast. Yeah, just not hungry. You, not hungry? That's new. Rita shrugged. Must be coming down with something. But the next day, she felt the same. And the day after that. By the end of the week, Rita was suspicious. By the end of the second week, she was panicking. She had missed her period, which could mean a lot of things. Stress, hormones, age, or no, it can't be that. But she couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop doing the math in her head. 2 months since that Friday night. 2 months of not being careful enough. 2 months of being so lost in each other that protection sometimes became an afterthought. Oh God. Rita bought a pregnancy test on her way home from the market, then bought 2 more, because if she was doing this, she needed to be sure. That evening, while Aaron was helping the kids with homework, Rita locked herself in the bathroom. She took all 3 tests, then sat on the closed toilet seat, staring at the tiles, counting down the 3 longest minutes of her life. When she finally looked, 3 tests, 3 positive results. Rita put her head in her hands. She was pregnant with Aaron's baby. Again. Except this time was different. This time they both knew. This time it was conscious. This time it was, oh God, what is Aaron going to think? Rita's mind spiraled. They weren't married. They weren't even officially engaged. They were just co-parents who also slept together. A lot. What if he thought she was trapping him? What if he thought she'd done this on purpose? What if this ruined everything? They'd been having fun. It was light, easy, passionate, but uncomplicated. And now she was pregnant, and pregnancy made everything complicated. Rita stared at the positive tests, terror clawing at her chest. She'd have to tell him. But how? And when? And what if he didn't want this? What if he felt obligated but resentful? What if... Rita? Aaron knocked on the door. You okay in there? You've been in the bathroom for like 20 minutes. Rita jumped. I'm fine, just doing skincare. Very thorough skincare. Okay, well, dinner's ready when you are. Be right out. Rita shoved the pregnancy tests into the bottom of the trash can, buried under tissue paper. Then she washed her face, took a deep breath, and went out to face her family, pretending everything was normal, even though her entire world had just shifted. For the next week, Rita kept the secret. Every time she tried to tell Aaron, the words got stuck in her throat. What if he's not ready? What if this changes everything? What if he leaves? The fears were irrational. She knew Aaron wouldn't leave. But fear wasn't rational. Fear was the voice in her head that said she'd been hurt before and could be hurt again. Meanwhile, the pregnancy symptoms got worse. Morning sickness that lasted all day. Exhaustion that made her want to sleep for a week straight. Food aversions. She couldn't even look at eggs without gagging. Aaron noticed, of course. Are you sure you're okay? You haven't been yourself all week. I'm fine, just tired. Rita, I'm fine, Aaron. The children noticed too. Mama, you're acting weird, Emma said at dinner one night. I'm not acting weird. You are, you look sad. Are you and Dad fighting? No, baby, we're not fighting. Then what's wrong? Nothing's wrong, I'm just thinking about things. What things? Adult things. That's what adults always say when they don't want to explain, Michael observed. He wasn't wrong. 10 days after taking the pregnancy tests, Rita finally summoned the courage of all her ancestors. She couldn't keep this secret anymore. She had to tell him. Whatever happened, happened. That evening after the children went to bed, Rita asked Aaron to sit down. We need to talk. Aaron's face went serious immediately. Okay, that sounds ominous. It's not ominous. Well, maybe a little ominous. Just sit. Aaron sat on the couch looking concerned. Rita stood in front of him, hands twisting together nervously. What's going on, Rita? You've been acting strange for almost 2 weeks. Did I do something wrong? Are you having second thoughts about us? No, it's not that. Rita took a shaky breath. I have something to tell you, and I don't know how you're going to react, and I'm terrified that this is going to ruin everything. But I can't keep it secret anymore. Rita, you're scaring me. Just tell me. Rita closed her eyes. I'm pregnant. Silence. Complete suffocating silence. Rita forced herself to open her eyes and look at Aaron. His face was blank, unreadable. Say something, Rita whispered. Please. Aaron stood up slowly. You're pregnant. Yes. With a baby. Yes. My baby. Yes, Aaron, that's generally how biology works. Aaron walked toward her. Rita took an instinctive step back, bracing herself for, she didn't know what. Anger, blame, resentment. But when Aaron reached her, his face broke into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. We're having a baby, he said, his voice full of wonder. Rita blinked. Yes? We're having a baby. And then Aaron laughed, this loud, joyful, incredulous sound, and picked Rita up, spinning her around. Bane. Aaron, put me down. We're having a baby. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this? Waiting for, what are you talking about? Aaron set her down, but kept his hands on her waist, his eyes shining with joy. I've been praying for this, he said. For weeks, I've been praying that you'd get pregnant. Rita's jaw dropped. You've been what? Praying for you to get pregnant so you'd have to marry me. Are you insane? You can't just pray for someone to get pregnant so they'll marry you. That's effective? Aaron grinned. Manipulative. I prefer strategic. Aaron! Rita, listen. He cupped her face in his hands. I love you. I've loved you for months, and I've wanted to marry you for months. But I knew you were scared. I knew you needed time. So I thought if you got pregnant, you'd have to say yes. You wouldn't be able to overthink it or talk yourself out of it. Rita stared at him. That is the most ridiculous. Did it work? Did what work? Are you going to marry me? Rita's brain short-circuited. You're proposing right now? Yes. I just told you I'm pregnant and you're proposing? I told you I've been wanting to propose. The pregnancy just gave me the perfect opportunity. Aaron dropped to one knee right there in the living room. Rita Chinwei Lawson, I know I don't have a ring yet. I'll get you the most beautiful ring you've ever seen. I promise. But I can't wait another second. I love you. I'm in love with you. I don't want to just be your co-parent. I want to be your partner, your husband, the person who does life with you. I know I'm not worthy. I know I hurt you in ways I can never fully make up for. But if you give me a chance, I will spend the rest of my life proving that I can be trustworthy, that I can do better. Better by you, better by our kids, all four of them. Better by our family. Will you marry me? Rita's eyes filled with tears. Aaron, I know I'm asking a lot. I know you're scared. I know. Yes. Aaron froze. What? Yes, I'll marry you. You will? I will. I love you, you ridiculous, manipulative man who prays for accidental pregnancies. Aaron shot to his feet and kissed her. Deep, passionate, full of joy and relief and love. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Rita laughed. I can't believe you prayed for me to get pregnant. I can't believe it actually worked. That's not how prayer works. Apparently it is. Rita shook her head, but she was smiling. The children are going to lose their minds. They're going to be insufferable. Emma's going to plan the entire wedding in a notebook. Marcus is going to want to be the ring bearer and give a speech. Michael's going to calculate the optimal wedding date based on statistical probability of marital success. They looked at each other and laughed. Then Aaron put his hand on Rita's still flat stomach. We're having a baby, he said softly. Rita agreed, and we're getting married. We're getting married. Aaron kissed her again. I love you so much. I love you too, even though you're absolutely insane. Insane about you. That was terrible, pal. You loved it. I really didn't. But she was smiling. The next day after school, Rita and Aaron gathered the triplets in the living room. We have some news, Rita said. 3 pairs of eyes looked at them with interest. Good news or bad news? Marcus asked. Good news. Very good news. Are we getting a puppy? Marcus's face lit up. No, not a puppy. Are we moving to a bigger house? Emma asked hopefully. Eventually, probably. But that's not the news. Did Dad finally agree to let me have his laptop for my homework? Michael asked. No, Michael, you cannot have my laptop, Aaron said. But the news is even better than that. Better than a laptop? Michael looked skeptical. Aaron took Rita's hand. Your mama and I are getting married. Silence, then, oh! Emma screamed at a pitch that could shatter glass. I knew it, Marcus shouted, jumping up and down. I knew it. I told you guys they were gonna get married. Michael just smiled, a rare, full smile. Statistically inevitable. Emma threw herself at Rita, hugging her so tight Rita couldn't breathe. You're getting married to Dad. We're going to be a real family. We already are a real family, baby. But now it's official. You're going to be Rita Dameji, or are you keeping your name? Are you hyphenating? Rita Lawson Dameji, that's a lot of syllables. We haven't figured that out yet. And there's going to be a wedding with a dress. Mama, can I help pick your dress, please? Please? Yes, Emma, you can help. And flowers and music and... Oh, can I be a bridesmaid? Of course you can. Can I be the best man? Marcus interrupted. Or the ring bearer? Or both? Can someone be both? We'll figure it out, champ. I'll be the ring bearer, Michael said. Marcus will drop the rings. I will not. You trip over nothing on a regular basis. The statistical probability of you dropping the rings is approximately 67%. That's not a real statistic. It's an educated estimate based on observational data. While the children argued and planned and asked a million questions, Rita and Aaron just stood there holding hands, watching their family. Their chaotic, perfect family. There's one more thing, Rita said when the children finally paused for breath. What? Emma asked. Rita looked at Aaron. He squeezed her hand encouragingly. You're going to have a baby brother or sister. More silence. Then, what? A baby? Another one? Mama's pregnant, Aaron explained. You three are going to be big siblings. Marcus looked at Rita's stomach suspiciously. There's a baby in there? Yes. Right now? Right now. Can I see it? Not yet. It's very small. How small? About the size of a grape. A grape? Marcus's eyes went wide. That's so tiny. It'll get bigger, Michael said. Over approximately 7 more months, assuming Mama is 1 month pregnant now. I'm about 2 months along, Rita corrected. So 7 months remaining. The baby will be here in, Michael calculated in his head, early June. A summer baby. Emma clapped her hands. That's perfect. Not too hot, not too cold. Can we name it? Marcus asked. We'll all discuss names together, Aaron said. I vote for Optimus Prime if it's a boy. We are not naming our baby Optimus Prime. Why not? It's a cool name. Because your sibling will be a human child, not a transformer. Transformers are cool, though. Marcus, Emma was already planning. We'll need to paint the nursery. Can I help? I'm thinking yellow, gender neutral, with little animals on the walls. I can paint them. You can help decorate, yes. And we'll need to get a crib, and baby clothes, and diapers. So many diapers. Do you know how many diapers a baby uses? I researched it once. Emma, breathe. Michael was quiet, processing. Then he walked over to Rita and put his hand on her stomach. Hello, baby, he said quietly. I'm Michael, your big brother. I'm going to teach you things, important things, like math and science, and how to ignore Marcus when he's being annoying. Hey, it's a valuable life skill. Rita pulled all 3 children into a hug, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. I love you 3 so much. We love you too, Mama. Even though you're having another baby, Marcus added. Even though, Emma agreed, especially because Michael corrected, Aaron wrapped his arms around all of them, Rita and the triplets, his whole family. We're going to need a bigger apartment, he said. We're definitely going to need a bigger apartment, Rita agreed. The next 2 months were a whirlwind. Aaron bought Rita a ring, a beautiful sapphire surrounded by diamonds that made her cry when he slipped it on her finger. It's blue like your dress on the day we met again, he explained. The day at the restaurant, the day everything changed. Rita couldn't stop looking at it, couldn't stop marveling at the fact that this was real. She was engaged. She was getting married. To Aaron, the man who'd once been her enemy was now her fiancé. Life was strange and wonderful. They moved to a bigger apartment, a 3-bedroom place with an extra room that would become the nursery. The triplets each got their own room for the first time in their lives and acted like they'd won the lottery. My own room, Marcus kept shouting. I don't have to share with anyone. We can still visit each other though, right? Emma asked, suddenly worried. Of course, Michael said. We'll have sleepovers in each other's rooms. Like a hotel. Exactly like a hotel. Rita's morning sickness got worse as she approached 3 months pregnant. But she didn't care. She was marrying the love of her life. She was having a baby. Her children were happy and thriving. Everything was perfect. Well, almost perfect. Planning a wedding in 2 months while pregnant and dealing with 3 overly enthusiastic children was challenging. Emma appointed herself head wedding planner. She had 3 notebooks dedicated to the wedding, one for the ceremony, one for the reception, and one for the dress. Mama, we need to talk about color schemes, she'd say at breakfast. I'm thinking soft pastels, peach and mint green, very elegant. That sounds lovely, baby. And for centerpieces, I'm thinking roses and baby's breath. Classic but romantic. Emma, you're 7. I'm mature for my age. Marcus wanted to be involved too, but his ideas were less refined. Can we have a football-themed wedding? No. But why? We could have a football cake, and the decorations could be no football theme, Marcus. You guys are no fun. Michael approached the wedding with his usual analytical precision. I've calculated the optimal date based on weather patterns, Mama's pregnancy progression, and statistical probability of vendor availability. May 15th is the best option. Michael, that's in 6 weeks. Exactly. Mama will be 3 months pregnant, past the highest risk period for miscarriage, but not so far along that she'll be uncomfortable. The weather in Lagos in mid-May is typically mild, and most venues have availability because it's not peak wedding season. Rita just stared at her 7-year-old. How do you know all this? Research. You researched wedding planning? I wanted to be helpful. Rita pulled him into a hug. You're amazing, you know that? I'm aware, but thank you for the confirmation. They set the date for May 20th, a compromise between Michael's calculated optimal date and Emma's aesthetic preferences. Rita went dress shopping with Emma, Mama Ngozi, and Aaron's sister, who'd flown in from London specifically for the wedding and immediately adopted Rita as her new favorite person. My brother is an idiot, she'd said upon meeting Rita, but he's a lucky idiot. Welcome to the family. Finding the perfect dress was harder than Rita expected. She wanted something elegant but comfortable, beautiful but not too elaborate, something that would make her feel like a bride while also accommodating her growing baby bump. After trying on 15 dresses, she'd almost given up. Then Emma pointed to a dress in the corner of the shop. What about that one, Mama? Rita looked. It was perfect. A flowing A-line gown in soft ivory with delicate lace on the bodice and sleeves. Simple but stunning. Elegant but comfortable. She tried it on, and the moment she looked in the mirror, she knew. This was the dress. Emma burst into tears. Mama, you look like a princess. A pregnant princess, Rita laughed, looking at her small bump. The best kind of princess. Aaron's sister smiled. He's going to lose his mind when he sees you. You think? I know, trust me. I've never seen my brother this happy. You've changed his life, Rita. He changed mine too. The weeks flew by in a blur of preparations, venue booking, catering decisions, flower arrangements, music selection. The triplets were involved in every decision, offering opinions on everything from napkin colors to whether they should have a chocolate fountain at the reception. Yes to the chocolate fountain, Marcus voted. It's tacky, Emma argued. It's delicious, Marcus countered. We're having the chocolate fountain, Aaron decided, because I also want the chocolate fountain. Dad? What? I'm the groom. I get a vote too. Through it all, Rita's pregnancy progressed. Her bump grew slowly but surely. She glowed. That's what everyone said. You're glowing. Pregnancy looks good on you. You're absolutely radiant. Rita felt more nauseous than radiant most days, but she smiled and accepted the compliments. The night before the wedding, Rita couldn't sleep. She lay in bed alone because Aaron's sister had insisted on the tradition of the bride and groom not seeing each other the night before, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, she was getting married. Married. 7 years ago, if someone had told her she'd marry the man who'd had her arrested, she would have laughed in their face, and yet here she was, marrying Aaron, having his baby, building a life with him. It was surreal, but it was also right, more right than anything had ever been. Rita put her hand on her small bump. Your daddy and I are getting married tomorrow, she whispered. You're going to be born into a family, a real family, with a mama and a daddy who love each other and 3 big siblings who are going to spoil you rotten. You're so lucky, little one. We all are. The big day. The wedding was held at a beautiful outdoor venue, a garden with flowers blooming everywhere and string lights hanging from the trees. It was perfect. Rita stood in the bridal suite looking at herself in the mirror. Her dress was beautiful. Her hair was styled perfectly. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like a bride. I'm getting married, she thought. I'm actually getting married. Emma, dressed in a peach-colored flower girl dress, stood next to her. "You look so pretty, Mama." "Thank you, baby. You look beautiful too." "Are you nervous?" "A little." "Don't be. Dad loves you so much. I see the way he looks at you, like you're the only person in the world." Rita's eyes filled with tears. "Emma, don't cry. You'll ruin your makeup." Rita laughed and carefully dabbed at her eyes. There was a knock on the door. "It's time," Mama Ngozi said, poking her head in. "You ready?" Rita took a deep breath. "I'm ready." The ceremony was small and intimate, just family and close friends. Aaron stood at the altar with his best man, Benson, his lawyer who'd become a close friend, and his two groomsmen, Marcus and Michael, looking adorably serious in their tiny suits. When the music started, Emma walked down the aisle first, scattering flower petals and looking absolutely thrilled to be the center of attention. Then the bride's march began, and Rita stepped out. Aaron's face when he saw her. Rita would remember that expression for the rest of her life. Pure love, pure joy, pure wonder. Like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Rita walked down the aisle. No father to give her away because she was giving herself away, choosing this freely. Her eyes locked on Aaron's. When she reached him, he took her hands. "You're stunning," he whispered. "You're not so bad yourself. I love you. I love you too." The officiant began the ceremony. Rita barely heard the words. She was too focused on Aaron. On the way he looked at her. On the way his hands held hers, steady and sure. On the way he smiled when the officiant talked about commitment and partnership and love. Then came the vows. Aaron went first. "Rita," he began, his voice thick with emotion. 7 years ago, I met you under the worst possible circumstances. I wronged you. I hurt you. I destroyed your life, and I spent years not knowing the damage I'd caused. But somehow, miraculously, you gave me a second chance. You let me into your life. You let me know our children. You taught me what it means to show up, to be present, to love without conditions. You made me a better man, a better father, a better person. And today I promise to spend the rest of my life showing you that I deserve you. I promise to love you fiercely, to support you completely, to be your partner in all things. I promise to be the husband you deserve and the father our children need. I promise to choose you every single day for the rest of our lives. I love you, Rita. Forever." Rita was crying by the time he finished. Then it was her turn. "Aaron," she said, her voice shaking, 7 years ago you destroyed my life. That's not romantic, but it's true. You took everything from me, my freedom, my education, my future, and I hated you for it. For years I hated you. But then you came back, and you fought for me. You fought for justice. You fought to make things right, and somewhere along the way, the hate turned into something else. Respect, friendship, trust, love. You showed me that people can change, that mistakes don't define us forever, that redemption is possible. You showed up for me and for our children every single day without fail. You proved that you were worthy of a second chance. And today I'm choosing you, not because I'm trapped, not because I'm pregnant. That got a laugh from the guests, but because I love you, truly, deeply, completely. I choose you, Aaron, today and every day after, forever. There wasn't a dry eye in the venue. The officiant smiled. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Aaron pulled Rita close and kissed her. Deep, tender, full of promise. The guests erupted in applause. The triplets cheered loudly. Marcus wolf whistled, and Rita laughed against Aaron's lips, her heart so full it could barely contain it. The reception. The reception was joyful and chaotic and perfect. There was dancing and laughter and so much food. The chocolate fountain was a huge hit. Marcus ate so much chocolate he made himself sick, but he insisted it was worth it. Emma gave a speech that made everyone cry. My mama is the strongest person I know. She raised us by herself for 7 years. She worked so hard. She never complained. She always made us feel loved, even when things were hard. And now she has Dad, and they love each other so much. And we're going to have a baby sibling, and we're a real family. And I'm just so happy. Michael's speech was shorter but equally moving. Statistically speaking, second marriages have a 60% success rate, but I calculate that Mama and Dad's marriage has a 97.3% probability of success because they have already overcome impossible odds. They've chosen each other despite everything. And they have us, the world's best children, to keep them accountable. So congratulations, Mama and Dad. We're very proud of you. Marcus's speech was, Marcus, I just want to say that I'm very excited because now Dad is officially ours and we're getting a baby and we moved to a bigger apartment and Dad makes really good pancakes and I love this family. Aaron's speech had everyone laughing and crying at the same time. I never thought I'd have this. A family, a wife who's brilliant and beautiful and way too good for me. Children who challenge me and teach me and make me want to be better. A baby on the way, a life full of love and laughter and chaos. 7 years ago, I made the worst mistake of my life, but somehow that mistake led me here, to Rita, to our children, to this family. And I wouldn't change a thing, because this, all of you, is everything I never knew I needed. So thank you, Rita, for giving me a second chance. Thank you, Emma, Marcus, and Michael for accepting me as your father. And thank you all for being here to celebrate with us. We're going to be very, very happy. I promise you that. Rita danced with Aaron under the stars, her head on his shoulder, her hand on her bump, surrounded by family and friends and so much love. We did it, she whispered. We did it, Aaron agreed. We're married. We're married. We're having a beau. We're having to be. We're a family. We're a family, Aaron repeated, pulling back to look at her. Forever. Forever. He kissed her as fireworks lit up the sky, courtesy of Aaron's insistence on making the night memorable. The triplets ran around with sparklers, laughing and shouting. Guests danced and celebrated. And Rita stood in the center of it all, her husband's arms around her, her children happy and safe, a new baby growing inside her, and thought, this is happiness. This is what it feels like to be completely, utterly, perfectly happy. 7 years ago, her life had fallen apart. Today, it had been put back together, better than before, stronger than before, more beautiful than she ever could have imagined. Epilogue, 1 year later. Rita stood in the nursery rocking their baby daughter, Zara, in her arms. She'd been born in June, right on schedule, with Aaron's eyes and Rita's smile. The triplets adored her. Marcus was surprisingly gentle with her, always wanting to hold her. Emma sang to her constantly, making up little songs about being a princess. Michael read to her from his science books, insisting it was never too early to start learning. Aaron was an absolutely besotted father. He'd get up for every night feeding, insisting Rita needed her rest. He'd change diapers without complaint. He'd spend hours just staring at Zara, marveling at her tiny fingers and perfect features. I can't believe we made her, he'd say, his voice full of wonder. We made 4 of them, Rita would remind him. Don't forget the triplets. I could never forget the triplets. They won't let me. Life was chaotic with 4 children. The apartment was always messy. Someone was always crying or laughing or arguing or asking questions. It was loud and exhausting and sometimes overwhelming, but it was also perfect. Rita had gone back to school, finally finishing her degree online, determined to graduate. Aaron supported her completely, watching the kids while she studied, encouraging her when she got frustrated. She was going to graduate next month. 7 years late, but she was going to do it. The triplets were thriving in their new school. Marcus had made the football team. Emma had won an art competition. Michael had been moved to advanced classes because he was operating at a middle school level. They were happy, healthy, loved. And Rita was happier than she'd ever been. She looked down at Zara, who was starting to fall asleep in her arms, and smiled. "You have no idea how lucky you are, little one," she whispered. "You were born into love, into a family that chose each other, into a life that's messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect." Aaron appeared in the doorway, watching them with that expression he always got when he looked at his family, like they were the most precious thing in the world. "She asleep?" he whispered. "Almost. Need help putting her down?" "I've got it." Rita carefully placed Zara in her crib, watching her settle into sleep. Then she turned to Aaron. He pulled her close, his arms around her waist. "I love you," he said quietly. "I love you too." "Happy?" "Incredibly happy." "Good. That's all I want, for you to be happy." "I am. We are. All of us." They stood there in the nursery, holding each other, listening to their baby breathe, and their older children bickering in the living room about whose turn it was to pick the TV show. 7 years ago, Rita had been a young woman in prison, pregnant and alone with no future and no hope. Today, she was a wife, a mother of 4, a college student about to graduate, a woman who'd survived the worst and found the best. Life was strange. Life was beautiful. Life was a journey from darkness to light. And Rita had finally found her light. In Aaron, in her children, in the family they'd built from the ashes of tragedy. She'd found her happily ever after, and it was more than she'd ever dreamed possible.